Hey everybody, welcome to Breakfast All Day. Alonso, Matt, Christy. The embargo lifted this morning for The Lion King 2019, so we can talk about it.
And more importantly, I'm back from Hawaii.
We were not here last week because Matt was gallivanting in the sand.
Indeed.
I was. I also made an important discovery. So if you go to Oahu and you make it to the west side, go to a little restaurant called Coquitos.
Okay.
It is the best Cuban sandwich I've ever had in my life. In all places. On Oahu, in Hawaii. It was terrific.
Breakfast All Day brought to you by
Exactly.
Coquitos
Exactly.
Oahu.
And also, it's bring your own rum at this place.
Bior.
BYOR.
Bior.
Exactly.
So yeah, we should talk about The Lion King. I just saw it last night, and Alonso saw it yesterday afternoon. Did you go to the El Capitan?
Yes, where I was forced to watch it in 3D, unbeknownst to me.
Oh, I saw it in 2D, and that was fine. Right. So I think there were great expectations about this because, once again, it's Jon Favreau, and his live-action version of The Jungle Book is so good.
Yeah. Well,
and at that point, it was so. But at that point, it seemed game-changing. I think from a visual effects perspective.
I'm going to point out, Alonso's doing his quotes. That kid is live. They did not CGI. That kid is not entirely CGI.
In Jungle Book, we have one human being, which is one more than we have in The Lion King.
Exactly.
So it's this all-star cast. It's The Lion King. And we are all too old to be deeply emotionally invested with like childhood nostalgia for the animated Lion King.
Yes, I never owned it on VHS. I know that it was a millennial coming-of-age totem for a lot of people I know who are under 35.
I mean,
they watched it constantly. It was a big deal movie for them. I saw it once when it came out and have barely thought about it since.
Same. I forgot who all was even in it. I had to go look it up on IMDb. Matt, what are your deeply entrenched thoughts on Lion King?
You know, the original Lion King, I haven't seen the new one, but the original one is solid. You know, I believe it's the first one with Menken and Elton John, right?
No, Tim Rice.
Sorry, Tim Rice and Elton John, right?
Yeah.
Because
Ashman had died.
Ashman had died, and Menken had kind of taken a step back. And it was a big deal that Elton John was doing the music, and it was a big deal. You know, it's the last it's like what, the last hand-drawn animated film that Disney did up until Princess.
I think Lilo and Stitch was
Lilo
also...
and Stitch. I know it was a big deal that it took months to do
It came out the year before Toy Story.
Right, and it took months to do the stampede scene, and it was there was a lot of to do about the production. I remember enjoying it, and it became fodder for a million references. Like every time somebody holds up some animal or baby, right. Like there's a lot of it has
Hakuna frickin' Matata.
right. Like it's got a fair amount of cultural influence, but like, is this an essential remake?
No, not at all. And it's funny because I was explaining to Nicholas that the songs from this movie were actually radio hits. And if you're still in a particular dental office waiting to get your root canal, you might hear an Elton John song from Lion King. And sure enough, in the car on the way home, we heard Circle of Life on the 90s on 9 channel on Sirius XM. So it's still out there.
And can you feel the love tonight?
I cannot. I cannot feel the love. So this is okay. It's like the photorealism is so glossy and so like empty and devoid of actual like depth or emotion, human emotion, quote unquote.
Well, yeah, because
you feel nothing.
You've got these animal faces that can only be so expressive. So it's like watching Greek mask theater. You know, like in 2D animation, you can do all kinds of eyebrow raising and things with a face to convey emotion and intent and all that
characterization.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, I was thinking today about how Avatar represented this perfect melding of here's this cool new technology we want to show off, and here's the right story to put it in. And I think those two things together are really important, because otherwise you get a movie like The Walk, which is like, here's this amazing technology doing a thing that audiences do not want to see it do, which is put you on a high wire between the trade centers. Like,
unless that's your thing.
Unless that's your thing. But I mean, that movie flopped because people were like, oh, it's that really realistic? No, thank you. And this movie, it's the same thing. Yes, the animals look realistic. The veldt looks realistic. I don't know what's real and what's fake. All of that stuff is very well done. Does it serve the storytelling of The Lion King, and does it serve the comedic or musical or even dramatic elements? It does not.
So you're saying you'd be better off making a Ray Bradbury movie, The Veldt? is what it sounds like, right? Remember that story? But the kids who had the playroom that like the walls turned into the African veldt and they made friends. Oh, it's a great story. Yeah.
No, I mean, so like there's something to do with this stuff, but this ain't it. And so it winds up undercutting itself because it's like, yes, these sure look like lions having a conversation, but lions having a conversation only can do so much with those lion faces, you know?
So the same things that are wrong with the live action redo of Aladdin, which we just saw, are wrong here. And that is namely in the big emotional moments. Like, there's just something missing. Like, I don't know whether it's that they're trying to incorporate everything, and so it all feels kind of empty and kind of hurried. But the big emotional swelling musical numbers, right? In Aladdin, it's A Whole New World. In Lion King, it's Can You Feel the Love Tonight? And they both feel like, I don't know whether that's musically, it's just overproduced, but at no time do you feel that swell of emotion that those songs are aiming for.
Right.
And despite the fact that you have really talented people singing them, I mean, it's what do we want to call him? Childish Gambino in this situation? What do we call him?
Donald
Glover and Beyonce. It's just, there's no there, and it all just feels like glossy and polished and kind of noisy.
It's kind of like Disney on Ice in that you are bringing with you all these memories of the actual original thing and sort of enjoying them in another context. Like, I can't imagine anybody seeing this Lion King first and having the same impact of the people who grew up with the animated one, because I think this one, it's like a weird souvenir. Like when you're not getting that expression from the characterizations, you're meant to sort of remember the version where you do and kind of place it on top of it in a way.
And the nostalgia actually does a disservice to it, because you recall how much better that was and how much more that moved you, whether because you were a child when you saw it or because it's just superior artistically. I thought it was cute, and a lot of it was just that I very much enjoyed the Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen banter. Right, they are your wacky sidekicks for comic effect, and that was fun every time. I enjoyed that, and I like meerkats.
It's a relief compared to the rest of the film, but again, a lot like, it's one thing to have a cartoon warthog saying funny things, but when you have to have an actual warthog face with the tusks and everything, it's like
covered in like fur over the mouth.
It's just like, what are we even doing?
Man, Seth Rogen's not that ugly. Come on.
But that was good for me for a laugh every time, and I found whatever Simba's going through far less engaging. He's kind of a dud, you know. He's no fun.
It made me think more about the fact, like, how many grubs is he eating every day? Because like, this is a meat eating lion who is now subsisting on like bugs and you know, caterpillars or whatever, like his buddies do. And I'm like, you're not, like, I'm not seeing any ribs on you. Like, you are clearly eating like a ton of grubs every day.
Well, how many other warthogs and meerkats do you see?
So what you're saying is that he has like cleaned out the meerkat and warthog population.
I
but
mean,
he saved
what I'm
his
saying
friends.
is that Timon and Pumbaa sold out the rest of their buddies so that they could get all the grubs.
I mean, and there was an interesting piece in Washington Post or something that talks about how like there's always been something sort of fundamentally fascist about the Lion King, because it does sort of divvy these animals into like, you know, these, like, the lions are useful and good and they should be in charge of everything, and you know, the
hyenas are evil.
The hyenas are completely useless and do nothing but destroy everything. And it's kind of like there's a weird, I don't know if it's racist or classist or what's going on there, but
overly simplified.
You know, and also like, you know, I don't understand why like they're so linked into this whole kind of patriarchy that none of the female lions can step forward and take over and be queen. It's like, you know, when this happens on Downton Abbey, they at least acknowledge, hey, this is bullshit.
So I read something the other day that was talking about how if they wanted something, if you're going to make a movie like this that looks photorealistic, then maybe also dip into the reality of the way the natural lion matriarchy works, in that those prides are matrilineal, and really it should be Nala, right? It should be Nala, like she goes on the journey and comes back and saves the pride and takes her rightful place, because they're the ones in charge, and Simba would have gone off and never come back because the young male lions leave the Pride and go find some new Pride with some hot female to be with.
Interesting. I found it very distracting, though, that at one point Beyonce as Nala, when she's like summoning all her lioness friends to go attack the hyenas, she's like, lions. And I wanted her to say, like, get in formation. And she doesn't. Like, it's a really missed opportunity here. That's distracting to me that it's Beyonce. Also distracting the whole time is James Earl Jones. And I know he's the Mustafa in the animated
OG,
one.
yeah.
But, like, I keep thinking, oh, Darth Vader is Simba's dad. Like, that's distracting. I want him to say, like, I am your father.
Does he start talking about baseball?
Well,
No. I want him to say, like, I am your father. And that'd be distracting as
You
well.
mentioned missed opportunities. It really feels like, I mean, again, I haven't seen the film, but maybe they should have shot the Broadway musical with those costumes and that choreography.
that would have been different and interesting.
Julie
you know?
Taymor gets a producing credit.
And the fact that James Earl Jones comes back, first I'm thinking, like, did he re-record or is it just the original ones? And then I thought, and if it is the original ones, why not just use all the original ones?
Right. Want to bring up Matthew Broderick.
I mean, yes,
whoever else.
it you know, for a story that is set entirely in Africa, it is nice that like most of the protagonists are voiced by black actors. But yeah, I don't know. And again, like, if you love these Disney remakes, I'm not going to call this live action because it's not live action. If you love these Disney remakes, then, you know, and you have like super strong fondness for the original Lion King, that will no doubt carry you through this movie. But as somebody who falls into neither of those categories, I was mostly bored.
I also fall into neither of these categories, and I was more into it when Simba was young and adorable. And the movie is fun then. Yes, when he's Kitty Simba, it's more fun then. And when he first meets Timon and Pumbaa, like all of those adventures are fun. Once he's like grown up Simba, yeah, it's like he just where is the challenge here? Where is the struggle here? Like, he's got to go back, and it all feels like it wraps up really fast. Like, it feels like, what's at stake? I don't know.
He's the Joseph Campbell reluctant warrior.
It's really, really boring though. But I do feel like if you love the original Lion King, you're going to be kind of disappointed in this version of it.
It's certainly possible.
It's not as good. But the fur, like, again, like it's all really tactile.
Yeah,
it's impressive. I'm not saying it's not impressive from a visual perspective.
On a technical level,
yes.
it is brilliant. But and I thought Bibb said this really well. He wrote a review for me for TheWrap where he said, like, you can tell they're shooting for realism, and what they get instead is literalism, which is not the same thing, you know.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Also, they changed some of the lyrics.
How dare they?
I don't know why they did, but nobody ever says kings and vagabonds.
And Chiwetel Ejiofor is giving it his all for Scar, but I'm sorry, Jeremy Irons just drips with villainy in a way that this portrayal is not.
Aside from maybe Ian McKellen, who can drip with villainy like Irons can?
Oh, I bet you they could have found somebody, and they could have they could have found like Danny Glover probably could have like really, you know, put a whammy on it. I'm sure there are no shortage of black actors who could have come in and given it the full Jeremy Irons. But
Chiwetel Ejiofor actually does sound kind of like Ian McKellen doing Scar.
Okay.
To your point, that's who I thought it was for a while.
Speaking of casting decisions in Disney action remakes, do we want to discuss the hoopla around the news around Little Mermaid, or just
oh god,
or not?
Could we not?
Okay, we won't. Never mind then.
All right, forget we even mentioned it. All right,
Forget it.
I'm saying 5.
What did I say?
You said 4.5. Is that good?
4.5. Because again, this is a technical marvel, but in the service of a movie that technical marvel does not serve.
So our numbers are 4.8. It's at 58% on the tomato meter, which I'm not sure how much that matters. I feel like it's still going to be an enormous hit. People are going to go see this. I mean, there was great thrill and expectation in my theater for this movie, so I think people are psyched about it.
Yeah.
People will still see it regardless of reviews. Don't you think, Alonso?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I think it's going to be that thing where, you know, we're going to get angry comments like, how dare we not love this movie, blah blah blah, but it's the kind of movie that people are going to be psyched about, and they're so psyched in advance that even afterwards they still have some of it, and then 6 months later they'll be like, oh yeah, that was, it was whatever.
I went to get popcorn and soda for myself and Nick before it began, and I asked the woman behind the counter, I said, have you seen this yet? She's like, yeah, I saw the first showing of it today. I said, what'd you think? She goes, it's cute. I'm like, oh. So that was my first tempering of my expectations there. Nick had fun, but I don't think he loved it either. So the 9-year-olds have spoken.
Yeah, but and this is the third one this year, so like
We had Aladdin, and what was the other one?
Dumbo.
Oh yeah, duh.
Why'd you make us remember Dumbo?
This is
Come on.
better than Dumbo.
It's better than Dumbo. Maybe not as good as Aladdin.
Maybe not as good as Aladdin.
Yeah. Anyway.
Ugh.
So there's that. All right. Thank you for watching. Like this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And hey, go check out our Patreon at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. That's where we're doing our TV recaps. And this week we got a doozy. We are catching up on our usual Big Little Lies and Handmaid's Tale. But we're also talking about the entire season 3 of Netflix's Stranger Things. You don't want to miss that. Thanks.
Thanks, bye.